Oh, before we get into anything, let me just make you a brief announcement. You know, shortwave radio isn't the most popular thing in the world. It's obvious that it isn't. So why am I talking about shortwave radio if it really doesn't apply to, a vast amount of people? Why bother talking about it? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the main point of these lectures about radio is to show that even though people have the belief that, oh, radio's obsolete, oh, nobody uses it anymore, the point of these lectures is to pretty much just counter that and say, no, you're wrong. As of 2014, shortwave radio, still has a vast amount of stuff on it, and it will for the foreseeable future. I just want to make that point clear. That's why I'm doing these. For that, and also, for my hobby of shortwave radio, for my passion for it. Hey, don't complain. You should be glad I actually have a hobby. So, yeah, I had to defend myself there. Anyway, hope you enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Report of the Week, and we are now on the air. We are back doing another episode of VORW, all about Numbers Stations today, continuing on with the shortwave lecture. Of course, if shortwave isn't your thing, that's perfectly fine. I respect that. The shortwave series probably has a few more parts left to it. But always remember now, we're going to have a review midweek, and who knows what we'll be doing on Friday. So just hang in there, ladies and gentlemen. And, I think that's about it. So, lately we've been discussing shortwave radio, Numbers Stations, all of that stuff. So I think we're just going to continue along with the Numbers Station synopsis, per se. Alright? So, we've been covering English Numbers Stations lately. We've been covering all the different types of broadcasting, at least currently broadcasting English Numbers Stations. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that the Numbers Stations, are all speculation. It's believed that these Numbers Stations are run by various governments that send coded messages over the airwaves to what is believed to be spies in other countries. Now, the Numbers Stations, they consist of powerful shortwave broadcasts that send groups of numbers, and it's believed that they're sending coded messages in those numbers to spies abroad. So let's shut our music off. The song in the background there is The Golden Age by the Asteroids Galaxy Tour. An interesting song, but a bunch of hippies. But, fine. It's either that or this crap that's on the Voice of America, and I don't want to listen to that right now. So, we covered a bunch of the currently broadcasting English stations. But there's one more English station that's still going, and that's E25. Now, E25 is a very interesting number station, broadcasts in English, but it actually does use a musical composition at the beginning. It's actually from Egypt, which I find interesting. So here's E25. It's a longer one, so we'll definitely, probably cut it down for the sake of time. But first, it starts out with an Arabic composition. So this number station, E25, always starts out with an Arabic composition, some sort of piece of music, usually in an Arabic language. And then it will start eventually and get to the message. 3 minutes into the recording, and the composition is still playing. Now the voice the computerized voice that is used to actually send the numbers is very unique at that. It actually sounds like a real person reading the numbers, though it has been proven that either A, the voice has been recorded previously onto the computer, or B, it's a computer, due to the fact that computerized noises, such as the Windows XP shutdown sound and sounds from the computer game Spider Solitaire, have been recorded on this station. But here's the voice. So that's the number station E25, and it's believed to be from Egyptian intelligence services. Those are the current broadcasting English stations. Next, we will move to the currently broadcasting German stations. Back in the Cold War, German stations were active in great number. There were a very large amount of German number stations, both from East and West Germany. But with the fall of the Berlin Wall, when the two states, countries, whatever, came together, it was reunified and the number stations left. So, that said, there is only one active German station. There were two about a couple months ago, but one of them has since shut down at the end of January. This is the current only active German station broadcasting out of Russia. This is referred to as G06. That is German 06, the sixth German station. First, it repeats the same number as the beginning. That's the call up. And then it'll get to a message. So that's a very standard German station. It's been around since the Cold War, still around today. It's referred to as G06. Now, alright, one German station. That's kind of pathetic, if you ask me. So that said, we will play you some of the other German station, known as G11. That is believed to be out of Poland, and it shut down very recently. It shut down at the end of January. It was broadcasting since the 1970s, so it had a very long history, but it has since shut down. So here's G11. Now this is related to the E11 station. That's the one with the oblique in there, from Poland. This is the German version of that station. No longer running, but it was early in 2014. Instead of saying oblique, it said streets. Streets. I can't do a German accent, really. But, that's the equivalent of the oblique, or the little dash there. The little backslash, as you want to call it, on the keyboard. Now, stations like this worked a certain way. They would have 3 numbers before the backslash, and then 2 after it. If the 2 numbers after it were 0, 0, that means there would be no message today, and after about 2 minutes of repeating that, the station would shut off. If there were 2 different numbers, the station would send a message. In this case, it is sending a message, and you'll hear it sooner or later. It's a long recording, about 10 minutes, so I will cut it down to consolidate time. Not like I need to do that or anything. Alright, any minute now, people. So that's G11 with a message there. This was recorded by yours truly on January 19th, 2014. Its last broadcast was on January 28th, so this is very close to the end. And obviously, when I recorded it, little did I know that it would soon be stopping. So, following the German stations comes the Slavic stations. Now, why do we call them Slavic? Why don't you say Russian, or whatever? Why do you call them Slavic? Well, my dear friends, they're regarded as Slavic stations because there's many different Eastern European Slavic dialects out there. So, instead of making a separate category for each one, they just grouped them all together. There you go. And there's 32 stations in total. Now, many of them are no longer broadcasting, but some of them are. So, the first Slavic station, still on the air, still actively broadcasting, is known as S06. S06. From Russia, an official Russian station there. It was actually very active when Russia took over the Crimea. I sent about 5 or 6 unscheduled messages that day. But S06 still active, as of today, still active. Broadcast a few times today, but here we go. S06, a Russian numbers station.
0, 4, 8, 0, 4, 8, 0, 4, 8, 0, 4, 8, 0, 4, 8, 0, 4, 8, 0, 4.
Once again, this is the call-up. It basically is calling up the agent's number, believed, to send a message to. You can see how it's repeating the same 3 numbers over.
4, 8, 0, 6, 2, 9, 6, 2, 9, 4, 3, 4, 3, 0, 2, 6, 0, 3, 0, 2, 6, 0, 3, 7, 5, 0, 4, 6, 4, 6, 6, 3, 1, 2, 6, 1, 2, 3, 2, 0, 0, 9, 3, 2, 0, 0, 0, 5, 5, 6, 7.
Now, that was S06. That's actually pretty much the primary Slavic station. It has a lot of variants. It has S06B, which basically just has 2 messages, so nothing special there. It's just the way the numbers are allocated there. There's S06C, which just has a specific group of numbers repeated. S06E, which has 2 messages. So all of those little variants there pretty much all of them are just have the same voice, just different structure, but they're from the same station. Then there's a station known as S06S. Now, I have no idea why it's even associated with this station, because it's not even from the same country as it. So I don't know why it's even associated with this station. It's not even from the same country. You know, S06 is from Russia. S06S is from the Ukraine. Now, if you can imagine, this station has been very active lately, for obvious reasons. You know, the Ukraine is falling apart. And I mean that not in a negative way. I'm just saying it as it is. The Ukraine is falling apart. But this station, S06S, broadcasts very actively, usually pretty late at night over here in the U.S. Usually in the U.S., broadcasts, at least Eastern time, you could hear it probably between 2 a.m. and 10 a.m. So, yeah, really an inconvenient hour for me. However, I have multiple recordings of it, so here we are. S06S. Once again, this is the call up as well. Almost every station has one. As you could obviously tell, this differs from S06. Number one, because of the country it comes from. Number two, it uses a different voice. And now it's just reading off the numbers. This station, though, in recent days has been extremely active due to the turmoil going on in poor Ukraine there. You know, so what can you do, though? They have a lot to say, obviously. Another station that is active is S09. Now, I myself have never heard it, but apparently it is active. It's known as Polish Counting. Comes from Poland, believed to be. However, it's probably not a Numbers station, they said. This is the Polish military testing radio equipment. So, really don't know why it's even listed there, but that is indeed active, so if you come across it, I suppose. Next, another active station, another active Slavic station, is one regarded as S11A. S11A. And this station is from the same place that E11 and G11 comes from. That's right, it's the Polish intelligence. So S11A, once again, has the same type of format as the other two stations, where it'll list the numbers with the little dash there. This time, instead of saying oblique or strith, it is, I believe, Cherta. I believe. Without further ado, though, this station used to broadcast only, like, between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. So there's no way I'd be hearing that. However, recently it's actually adopted a time slot at around 3:55 p.m., so now I could hear it every other day. So that has definitely helped, so now I've got a few recordings of it. So without further ado, here's S11A.
черта, тройка, двойка, тройка, 7, одинка, черта, тройка, двойка.
So as you could tell, it's using a more upbeat, female voice here. And once again, this is the call up.
Тройка, двойка, тройка, 7, одинка, черта, тройка, двойка, тройка, 7, одинка, черта.
Eventually, of course, it will yield a message. Since it does not say null, it is using two other numbers. That being said, a message will follow.
Тройка, 7, одинка, черта, тройка, двойка, тройка, та, тройка, двойка, тройка, 7, одинка, черта, тройка, двойка, тройка, 7, одинка, черта, тройка, двойка, внимание, 9, тройка, 6, 9, пятерка, 9, тройка, 6, 9, пятерка, 9, одинка, пятерка, одинка, одинка, 9, одинка, пятерка, одинка, одинка, 0, 0, пятерка, пятерка, двойка, 0, 0.
So obviously it has a little upbeat, almost exuberant female voice there, reading the numbers. That is S11A. S11A, ladies and gentlemen. Then there's a big break, a lot of inactive stations. A lot of these stations were Cold War stations, which shut down in the early 2000s, late 90s, when really there was no need anymore for them. There's one station, S25A, which actually they recorded a message from pretty recently, I think a few weeks ago. It was believed to be inactive, but then they heard it again. It uses the same voice as S06, but it transmits for several hours, and uses groups consisting only of 11111 and 22222. So that's the way you could really spot that out. Of course, so what's the point with when it's not broadcasting in English? Then we get some famous stations, and I know you're well aware of them. There is S28, the 28th Slavic station. UVB 76, the buzzer, UZB 76MDZHB. The almighty buzzer, the mighty buzzer, 4625 kilohertz. An absolutely renowned station, which in my opinion does not deserve the attention. So, we could actually go listen to it right now. Got the web SDR up. I was listening to the Voice of America here, playing that stupid Miley Cyrus. They just cut it off. Here's the Voice of America. Dead air, right? Well, here we are. Still going. That is UVB 76. Yeah, they're right there. So anyway, back to the Voice of America I'm listening to. UVB 76. Absolutely famous station. Literally famous station. Why? I don't know. Does it really deserve the attention? I don't know. You see, UVB 76 really isn't even a numbers station. Alright? What UVB 76 truly is, it's basically just a frequency, right, for the Russian military. Not the KGB or the GRU or anything like that. It's for the Russian military. This is what the Russian soldiers use. The big thing with UVB 76 is that even with all the speculation and people saying, oh, it's nuclear launch codes, whoa, it's some freak just playing this. No, in my opinion, I don't think it is. The purpose of the buzz is just to keep the frequency of 4625 occupied. For the most part, UVB 76 is just a Russian military frequency, and the buzzer, the old classic buzzing tone, simply put, is just really to keep the frequency, closed to anyone else. Because in a time of crisis, if the Russian military would use this frequency to relay orders, the last thing they want is some drunken pirate using it and blocking out, reception. So they use the little buzzing tone, to really, in my opinion, just keep the frequency occupied. Now, of course, there are periodic voice messages, but some of those could simply be test messages, others might have real purpose. I think there might have been a relation with this to also the Crimean conflict, because the other day, with all the turmoil going on now in eastern Ukraine, apparently there are about 5 or 6 messages on UVB 76 in the space of 30 minutes, which is almost a record for extremely high activity there. So that's S28 UVB 76. It just transmits this buzzing tone, and it's been going since probably the 1970s. S30, S30, known as the PIP. This is UVB 76's neglected sister station. Alright. It's called the PIP. Uses 2 frequencies, 5448 kilohertz for daytime broadcasting, and 3756 for nighttime broadcasting. Now, with that being said, the PIP is also a channel marker. That's what we call these stations that just transmit a constant noise, a channel marker. It keeps the channel, the frequency, marked. So, the PIP serves the same purpose as the buzzer, to really just, for the Russian military, for the, I believe, southern military district. Pretty much is just for them, just keep the frequency, closed to anywhere else, and, use it to relay orders. So here it is right now, live, as we speak, the PIP. Now the PIP, if you ask me, is in a pretty idiotic place for the nighttime frequency. It's in the middle of an amateur band, so you have people transmitting all around it. So it's really in a very idiotic place, if you ask me, but I suppose that's the place that they picked. So what are you going to do with that, right? Now, the PIP itself does transmit voice messages. It certainly does. And I have actually recorded a few voice messages, most recently on March 22nd. So here we are, a voice message on the PIP. So it's pretty much just reading a bunch of words and letters and call signs.
Дмитрий Михаил, стапля тройка. Пятерка, девятка, Федор Татьяна. Стапля двойка, Зинаида Анна. Для краткий Харитон, знак краткий. Семен, семерка, Женя Григорий. Зинаида знак, Дениса Борис. Стапля Иван, девятка Василий. Женя семерка, Константин четверка.
And there's the classic PIP. So, that is a message on the PIP, a voice message on the PIP. Serves the same purpose as the buzzer, but it's more neglected, and it serves another military district. And it's believed to be broadcast out of Rostov-on-Don. So it's actually very close to Crimea, so you could expect some increased activity on that station. Now, believe it or not, and I might just do something special on this, I don't know. When I talk about Shortwave Oddities, I might bring this up in depth. But I know a gentleman, his name is Peter, and he actually worked at the PIP for some time. And of course you could say, yeah, well, yeah, so do I. what proof do you have to back it up? Yeah, not really all that much. So that's a very broad remark. I didn't really believe him at first until he actually provided pictures of the facility and all that to back up his point. So, with that being said, it is confirmed, yes, he does work at the PIP. I was actually able to really find out some interesting information about that station that I would otherwise have not known. So I find that to be very interesting. So that's the PIP. Then there's a third station out there, S32, the even more neglected cousin of the buzzer and PIP, known as the squeaky wheel. Maybe it's because of its unpleasant sound, who knows? But it is also a channel marker. But really, I don't like the sound, and I almost never listen to it. However, it has this unpleasant noise that it uses to keep the frequency, closed to anyone else. And once again, it broadcasts voice messages on occasion. It's a pretty weak station. You really can't pick it up here, except for a very specific time. Really, you can't hear it on this web SDR. Maybe only from 7 p.m. until 1 a.m. But here it is. Pretty weak. Very, very weak. It's a very weak, right now. So, clearly the atmosphere isn't treating it too well. Regardless, though, I have recorded a few messages on that station as well, back in December of 2013. So we'll get a few of those queued up for you. Let me get some of those for you. Here we are. I actually got about 3 in a row. So that's really something. So let's see if we could hear them at least. Once again, it's repeating the words and phonetics in Russian. Here's another recording of it. Same time, the day previous. Obviously pretty weak. The squeaky wheel really isn't that strong of a station, so it may not really be intended to be broadcast or heard, in that European area right there, but it's audible for a specific time period, but otherwise, really, good luck trying to hear it. So, I've recorded messages on 2 of the stations, the 2 lesser-known stations, but the most famous one, nope, haven't heard a message yet. I've been listening to it for so long, I haven't even heard a message. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Then there's a few other languages that have number stations. There's China, North and South Korea, all of those. So let's cover those now. So there's quite a few, stations out there in other languages. Now, where I record them, from the U.S. and the receiver over there in Europe, I can't really get good reception on them. So we're going to have to rely on other people's recordings of these stations. So, the majority of our recordings will be coming from an organization known as Numbers and Oddities. Their site, numbersoddities.nl. That's numbersoddities.nl. Really informative site. If you're interested in this stuff, I suggest you check them out. You have a really good archive of recordings that most other people don't have. So one station, one well-known station that's still on the air today, this one's from Cuba. It's known as VORW. So here's what it sounds like.
678-801-803-4.
This station is believed to be from Cuban intelligence. It was really active in the 90s and early 2000s, but it has since rapidly declined in activity. It now only broadcasts, I believe, once, maybe like once a month, has one last schedule up. All the other schedules are gone. So it's in the decline, but it's holding up. The next station is V07. This broadcasts as well in Spanish, but this time it's not from Cuba, it's not from Spain, not from South America. No, it's from Russia. Believed to be Kamchatka, so very far eastern Russia there. So let's hear it. Now, for those of you that remember the English station, E07, this is the variant of that station, but broadcasting in another language. It literally runs the exact same format, we'll say. This next one is V13, known as New Star Broadcasting. Doesn't it make it sound like a radio station? Something? But it's a Numbers station. They actually play some music. And it's believed to be from China. The song at the front was a little cut off. I don't know. Do you want to hear the full thing? Do you? I could play it for you. You want to hear the full little song at the beginning there? Yeah. Alright, I'll play it to you. Here's a better recording. The tune they play is very, extremely oriental sounding, almost tribal. And then they start up the message. Sounds V13. V13. Mondays, right? Mondays. So this one's also been around for a while. It's known as V21 from Cuba, known as the Cuban Babbler, simply because it spews numbers, but it's really very unorganized. So here we are without further ado. So it really just babbles numbers, completely unorganized. Completely and totally unorganized there. Next is V22. That one's also from China. This next one is V24. Comes from South Korea. They also play a musical piece at the beginning of their broadcast. Yeah, they play Dire Straits for some reason. Now let's skip ahead. This is a music hour, right?
다시 부르겠습니다. 18,074 17,867 47,000.
So this is South Korea. South Korea at their best, right? Guess better than North Korea. Let's see what else we got here. We got V25. They're still up. Believed to be Chinese again. This next one is V26. Once again, believed to be Chinese. Let's see what else we got. V27. They don't know what that is. It could be Chinese, North Korean, English. They don't know. Sounds idiotic. Then there's V30, which is Vietnamese.
năm ba. Tên ca gọi hải văn năm hai, năm ba. Phía Nam.
So that's a V30. Then there's a really interesting one known as a VC01. They call it the Chinese robot because it speaks so ungodly fast. Well, first off, all of them are, computerized. But this one speaks so ungodly fast and just runs for 24/7. You'll just hear the inordinate speed of numbers it spews in Chinese. I wasn't able to hear it until recently. I have 2 recordings of it. Yes, those are a few of your Asian stations. Well, we have our Morse, but meh, right. I'll just list off the Morse stations. They all sound literally the same. You have M01, which is from Russia, believed to be hand-keyed Morse, possibly for training purposes. That has a few variants. It has M01A, B, and C. All of those are active. There's M03, which comes from Poland. It's the Morse equivalent of E11, G11, and S11A. You have M08A, comes from Cuba. It's a Morse station there. You have M12 from Russia. I actually heard that about 20 minutes ago. M14, it's another station that comes from Russia, Morse. M21 is an interesting one. M21, they don't know where it comes from, and all it does is just, I believe, send the time. That's all it does. It sends the time in Morse constantly. That's all it does. It just tells you what time it is. M22, that one's active as well. That one's from Israel. It runs 24/7. So it's got a lot to say. M24, that one's also active. That one's from Russia. M45, they don't know about. They seriously have no idea. They think it's inactive. It hasn't been heard since probably November, October. I probably recorded its last message, but they don't know. They're saying possibly inactive. M51 is active. That's from France. That one runs for a while. And then M55, they don't know where it comes from. They hear it every now and then. Then there's a bunch of other stations. M89, that one's from China, active. M97, that one's from Vietnam. M94 is, I don't know, could be from South Korea. I mean, there's so many of these Morse stations that got to sort through, over 100, that could still be broadcasting. Half of them, they just say unknown because I don't know. How could you differentiate all of these, Oh, this beep is a little slower than that one, so it's got to be this one. Yeah. There's actually been a few new Morse stations added. There's M901. They don't know where that comes from, but it's broadcasting numbers. There's M912B and M912C, which were recently assigned. That one, those two are believed to be for the Crimean-Ukraine conflict, and that's a variant of M12. Then there's M51A, which is another French station. Those are your Morse stations. I don't know. I'm probably the person that records the most of them for one organization, because no one else cares about them. So, yeah, it's Morse. Morse code, that Morse code, right? Then you get a few interesting stations. They consider these to be they consider these to be, number stations, but I really don't know. They're called noise stations. They make noise, nothing more. Now there's a few noise stations out there which have pretty much been proven to be number stations. One of them, a little station known as X06. X06. Let's dig down and get a recording of it, right? Here we are, X06. It's believed that every little tone is a number. If that's true, they're ungodly short messages then, but who knows, right? Who knows? And then there's a famous station out there known as XM. It's called the backwards music station because they believe, or at least it sounds like, it just plays backwards music, and that's all that it does. I've recorded it on 3 separate times. It's a rare thing to see. You'll be lucky if you see it maybe once every 2 months or 3 months, just popping up out of nowhere, and it'll last for a few hours. They think it comes from the U.S. Now, there's various theories on this. Some say it's just a technical issue with an incorrect circuit or something, but others believe that it's a type of encryption, and it actually is a number station. Nobody knows for sure though, but I've recorded it 3 separate times. The interesting thing is that it sounds completely different every single time. For instance, here on November 25th, I recorded it. Sounds very, very ominous, so listen in. So that's the November 25th recording. Then I recorded it again on January 1st, 2014. It sounds very different. That's all there is to it. Then there are a few other, few other stations out there, that are going, making noise. But this one is known as the Buzzsaw, and some of these are from the early 2000s. All of these are courtesy of Enigma 2000. This one is known as the Buzzsaw, because it just sounded like a buzzsaw. What more can I say? This one is known as XC, Crackle. A little crackling sound there. XF, that was a truly prolific station. They were known as faders. A truly prolific station in the late 90s, early 2000s. There must have been something interesting to listen to, but they are believed to be a data mode used by NATO. They're no longer used anymore. They haven't been heard since 2001, but this is one from 2000. Very weak. The thing is with the faders, what they sound like, and I won't get a better recording for you. I'll just say it as it is. Well, faders are very interesting. that would make this very interesting sound, indescribable, and it would just fade in and then fade back out, and change in tempo, pitch, speed, variability, everything. It was very, very mysterious. There were about 50 of them up at any given time. They interested many people, but they went, I suppose, as technology improved. They faded away. No pun intended there, people. Oh, here's a Numbers station going live. German one. This is live. Isn't it exciting? I'm sure it is. Just decided to put that in there. I just found it going live right now. Just to show that there are a number of stations that are really active still. Anyway, a few more noise stations going. And this one is known as XFR, known as frogs. Looks, it sounds like croaking frogs. Not really, but I suppose I could really get where that comes from. It's actually, I think, a type of radar they discovered, but before that they called it frogs. This one's an interesting one. It's known as XW. It's known as the workshop because it sounds like a live microphone inside a workshop. There's a better recording of it, and I actually will get it for you this time, alright? I will not disappoint. The workshop actually did interest me for a while. It's in my opinion, an interesting station because it literally serves no purpose whatsoever. So why is it there exactly? Now, this recording is from the 90s. The workshop was recorded over a Israeli Numbers station. So you'll be able to hear it pretty well. So that's the workshop. In my opinion, it's an interesting station. Hasn't been heard since '09, but that doesn't mean it's not completely gone. But who knows? Serves no purpose whatsoever. Let's point out of that. This one is known as XSL, the slot machine, the Japanese slot machine. There's about 20 of these stations perpetually going, believed to be out of Japan. Sounds like a slot machine going, alright? So it sounds like the Japanese slot machine. Let's see how this recording is. I haven't really listened to these recordings before, but who knows if the recording's going to work. Which I suppose it's not. Doesn't mind. Doesn't matter to me. Oh, here it is. That's a terrible recording. I don't know why this site even has these recordings up. They're all awful. I actually have a few recordings of this station that are significantly better. So I'll just play them for you right now. Here we are. The Japanese slot machine. So it sounds like a slot machine going. Alright. That's all that needs to be said. Right there. All that needs to be said, people. Well, I think we covered number stations today. Let me just make sure. No, we didn't. We forgot one thing. Alright, so let's cover this now. We covered English stations, German stations, Slavic stations, other language stations, Morse, noise. One more left. Alright? One more. This is known as polytone stations. Alright, what's a polytone, people? Come on. Yeah, a polytone is an interesting type of station. It's not voice. What they do is they use these different sounding tones, a different sounding group of tones, to actually transmit the numbers. So it's completely digital, but it's very interesting to listen to. There's 2 polytone stations still up today. One of them is very well known. I have many recordings of it. You could hear it probably twice, if not 3 or 4 times a week. It's known as XPA. XPA. That's X polytone. XPA, that's the main polytone station, has almost a musical type sound to it. So, without further ado, let's play it and see how it sounds. Right. First, it starts off the same way. It has these 2 start tones, which pretty much, pretty much just mark that it's going to broadcast. So it has these 2 tones going for about a few minutes, about 2 minutes. And then it starts. And now it's transmitting numbers. Now there is software online to decode this, so you could actually retrieve the message there. That's XPA. It has, as I said before, nearly a musical type sounds to it, you know. It has a sister station, XPA2, which is pretty boring compared to this one. But here's XPA2 with a message, recorded on March 16th by yours truly. Still has the start tones, but a different tempo there. Different pitch. A little deeper. This is it. It's pretty boring compared to the other one. So that's XPA2. Once again, both of these use their little musical tones to pretty much just convey numbers. This is an interesting one. I recorded this one on April 10th. Possibly a new type of station there, though it might use a more digital type mode. Has the same start tones, but you'll see. This one is believed to be related to the Crimea conflict. So it starts off with the tones, right? And there we go. Awful sounding. And that's it. I don't know, it's very unpleasant, but it's a new station, so that's important, right? So that's about it. There's a few other stations out there, but I'm not really going to cover them. You have HM01 from Cuba that combines a digital mode to send the numbers with a voice. SK01 from Cuba as well, that's only digital. There's a few others, but that's all for now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Report of the Week. We talked all about number stations. Signing off. Take care, all. I'll see you probably midweek.